All right, so here we go. So yes, Blizzard just quietly updated Diablo 4 with some changes that you're probably unaware of. We got to talk about that. These are pretty important to some of the classes in the game as well. Plus, the dev team responds about ongoing problems, and we also have some important workarounds for those very problems. And finally, we have a PC game that launches with very little issues, but the same cannot be said about the PS5 and Xbox Series X. What's going on there? We actually have some updates from Blizzard on that as well. And what's the best order to play the campaign? Are there any advantages starting, say, Act 2 ahead of finishing Act 1 and so on? Well, we're going to discuss it. Also, how do you get your mount very quickly in the game? Probably wondering that one. I'll guide you through that as well. So let's go ahead and go straight to the official post from Blizzard. Check it out right here. It says hotfix, June 2nd, 2023. And this comes from Adam Fletcher of Blizzard, community manager. He says a server-side hotfix was rolled out this evening. Server-side hotfixes occur in the background and will not require a client-side patch. So what has changed? It says this for the Sorcerer class specialization. Flame Shield enchantment. When Flame Shield is initially equipped into an enchantment slot, it's placed on full cooldown. So there you have that. Now, the Rogue Inner Sight has been updated. After Inner Sight's unlimited energy expires, there will be a 4-second delay before another enemy becomes marked. So there you go with that one. Now what about items? For Shout skill cooldown reduction, this effects will no longer appear on items. Interesting. Now miscellaneous, it says monster health values have been increased in later world tiers. Oh boy, so it sounds like they want it to be a little bit more challenging in later world tiers. I would have loved to seen the actual difference because I don't think a lot of people have made it to World Tier 3 yet. We're all working on it. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm having an absolute blast with the game. I'm finally entering into new regions, as you can see right here. It is beautiful. I love it. But anyway, let's get into the official stuff as well. We have another post here from Blizzard. Check it out. It says, invalid license issue on PlayStation consoles. Now, it's not just the PlayStation console that is dealing with this. I'm on Xbox Series X, as is my twin brother. He has not yet been able to play Diablo 4 because of some weird game sharing issues. But what did Blizzard have to say about all of this? I want to say this right here. Hello, we are seeing reports regarding PlayStation users experience invalid license errors. The team is looking into this right now and will update once we have more information. And of course, I think the same can be said about the Xbox Series X. If you're wondering, hey, what about us? We're having issues as well. Yeah, let's get into that actually right now. Check it out right here. This was the question out on Twitter. It says this from Michael Rose, who says, can you tell me if early access is available through game sharing on Xbox or not, please? And the response is this from Joseph Papora, who highlights this thread right here about game sharing. So you know what? Let's go to that actual article by Adam Fletcher. Check it out right here. It says game sharing during early access, couch co-op on console. Now Pez Radar says users who purchase a deluxe Ultimate Edition on an account should use that same account to host couch co-op sessions during the early access period. This ensures the guest player can join and participate in co-op. Now accounts that weren't the original purchaser of deluxe Ultimate Edition of the game on that console will not be able to play in early access unless they join as a second player with the account that made the original purchase. But there's also an interesting workaround for this that apparently the community has discovered as well. Let's go on over to Reddit, shall we? It says right here, game sharing workaround. First, you sign in from the account that bought the game and start into a game with a new character. Next, sign into the shared account on a second controller and join into the game. After both accounts are in the game, log out the first account, which will leave the second account still in the game. Now, the first account can then log in from wherever, and both can play at the same time. So that apparently does work. I have not tried it for myself. I feel so bad for my bro Ryan. He has not been able to get into the game at all. We're both on Xbox Series X, and despite us not being in the same house, we do the game sharing, of course. It works for every other game, so it was a bummer to see this happen now. We do have a follow-up question, which is really, really important. Is this how it's actually going to be forever, with game sharing? So check it out right here. We go to Twitter. And you scroll down to Cody Craft, who says, is that because of a bug though, or is the game literally made to be like that, where you're not allowed to game share? I game shared for the beta and the server slam. And of course, we have Adam Fletcher. He responded with the post about game sharing. And it seems like if you dig into this a little bit deeper as well, it goes on to say this. Yeah, purchaser needs to start up a game on the console. This is just for early access. This is entitlement they obtain by being the early access purchaser. So yeah, it seems like it's only for the early access period. So once we get into the standard official launch of the game, which is June 5th, 4 p.m. PT time, this will not be an issue from what I'm gathering. It'll just be like where you can play the game and game share, do the family share thing normally. So that's good news. Now, also, if you guys are having issues and you want to be vocal about it, remember you can actually go to the forums. Adam Fletcher says this. We'll also be monitoring player feedback and any other items that may crop up. Please use our newly expanded Diablo 4 forum for posting feedback and thoughts. We have community teams, customer support, QA, and more looking over these. So yeah, go for it. Check out what the issues they're actually looking over. And yes, players are also running into some other issues related to their mounts. Check it out right here. It says this. Hey Pez, Radar, bought the most expensive digital version, but do not have the Mother's Guidance Temptation Red Demon Horse in-game. Also, didn't have it during the server slam already. You know what to do or who to contact. Just want to ride in style. The response from Adam Fletcher is, we are aware of this, should be addressed or fixed in the coming few days. So if you are having this issue, don't sweat it. It will be addressed. It will be fixed. It looks like we're going to be getting a new patch down the road as well. But we have got to talk about this one right here. Diablo 4's perfect PC launch is nothing short of miraculous. It is amazing what they pulled off. I wanted to read some of this article from Forbes. Let's go ahead and check it out. It goes on to say this right here. Last night, I witnessed a miracle after the horror of Error 37, which crippled Diablo 3 at launch for days. So much so that it became a permanent Blizzard meme. I was expecting at least some level of frustration last night attempting into Diablo 4 for early access. And when we scroll down, it says, on PS5, it was indeed a bad time. Players were met with a message that they didn't have a license for the game, though that appeared to be partially on Sony's side, as licenses ended up going down for multiple games at a time. Oh, really? I didn't even know that one now. We have this right here as well. It goes on to say this. Let me scroll it back up. But on PC, this was the smoothest launch of a major online game I can remember. Seriously, the process was log into the Battle.net launcher, only 2 minutes, startup, Diablo 4 early access, greeted with a 4-minute queue message, actually got in after 4 minutes. This is exactly what happened to me. 0 disconnects, 0 crashes. I have had 1 crash, 0 noticeable bugs, negligible lag, and played for 5 hours straight with absolutely no issues. I only had 1 issue, and it was during this very boss battle. It literally disconnected during the middle of it. I was like, no. My girlfriend was sitting with me, and she was like, oh no, what happened? So I got through it. The cool thing was, I will say this, they had an excellent checkpoint system. I was able to get back in. I was right there at the boss. I was worried I would have to do like that whole story section over again. So kudos to Blizzard all the way around for really working on the launch of this game. They said that the beta and the server slam really helped them with the launch of the game, and they were able to identify severe, major problems because of us, because of all of us that were willing to hop on. Of course, we're willing to hop on and try this game. All right, so yes, let's talk about the HUD, because this is the post right here. It says this. Scroll on up. HUD needs some serious work. First of all, love the game so far. Really brings me back to the days of Diablo 2. Combines the best of old and new Diablo. But let's talk about that HUD. It needs some serious work. It doesn't make sense that there are 100 accessibility options that only 0.001% of the population needs, but I can't do simple things I came to expect from a 2023 AAA game, like change the HUD scale, change the HUD opacity, hide the HUD, hide or change the minimap size, zoom, and why did they get rid of the iconic transparent static map that lets you still move your characters and see where you are? Putting aside the fact that the HUD is ridiculously huge and takes 1/4 of the screen, some of us are using an OLED screen, and this adds risk for burn-ins. I'm playing on PC, where OLED screen might be less common, but since the game is out on consoles and half the games are using OLED, or half the gamers are using OLED, excuse me, I came to expect this thing to be a standard in this kind of hack and slash game with many static elements, especially when they're so damn easy to implement. Anyways, I hope they fix it, but knowing Blizzard, their player base is in the bottom of their priorities. I don't know. I'm not feeling that. That last sentence, I'm not feeling that because of all the hot fixes and stuff that they have been doing. So maybe, just maybe, they can actually get to reworking the HUD. I think it would be cool to have more options for the HUD, including being able to hide some like the skull icons here that you see when I'm aggroing or using the challenging shout with the barbarian. Those things I think should be able to be like toned back quite a bit. There should be an option no matter what. All right, so let's keep going, shall we? We have got to talk about this question right here. Check it out. It goes on to say this: which order should you play the Diablo 4 campaign in? This is a great question. You'll notice that when you get to a certain point in the game, it opens up and there's multiple main quest lines. Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Now, no Act 4, but yeah, is there any real reason to go in and say start Act 3 ahead of like Act 2 or whatever? Let's get into this article because it's kind of fascinating. It says this: the answer to the question is important, but also a bit boring. While the game does allow you to play in any order, there are level recommendations for each act. You can jump into Act 1 right away, and whatever level you finish the prologue, likely around 5 or 6, but Act 2 has a level recommendation of 10, and Act 3 has a level recommendation of 15. So yeah, from there on, if you're like at 15, you have multiple choices on how you can actually pursue the story. Now, furthermore, it goes on to say this right here: you can, of course, ignore those recommendations. They are just recommendations after all, but enemies will hit harder and take longer to kill, so enter at your own peril. Unfortunately, the most efficient order to play is numeric. Act 1 into Act 2 into Act 3, but if you're dying to play something new after playing through Act 1 multiple times, in the beta, you can go into Act 2 with very minor level issues, which should remedy themselves quickly as you level up. Just know that you'll eventually have to go back to Act 1 before you can unlock Act 4. And that act is so important because it also ties into, yes, guess what? The mounts. So if you're wondering, how in the world do I get a mount in the game as quickly as possible? Well, let's check this article out right here. It says this: what is the mount quest in Diablo 4? You'll find yourself back in HUD for the Master's Touch quest. Complete the quest, and in addition to the next step in Act 4, you'll also unlock Mount Donan's Favor, which is Diablo 4's mount quest. So it kind of takes a little bit of time to actually get your horse. I remember, probably like 2 months ago or even a month ago, I made a video about, oh no, it seems like it's going to take a while to get your mount. That's actually seeming to be the case. I don't mind it. I'm enjoying taking my time roaming around on foot at first in this beautiful open world. And then I imagine it will open up into the in-game where I think they didn't want you to fast travel so much. So they give you a mount, and it makes total sense. They could do a lot of customization options with those mounts as well. All right, so let's keep going. It goes on to say this: we were near level 30 when we got to the spot in the campaign, but your mileage will vary based on what difficulty you're playing on and how much side content you do, but it's absolutely worth ignoring side content until you get your horse, as moving from place to place gets significantly faster once you're on a mount. That depends. I say do the side content within Fractured Peaks right out of the gate. If you are doing side content beyond that, that might be a little bit difficult. But yeah, focusing on the main story up until the mount is probably a very wise decision. But, I myself, I'm stumbling into dungeons accidentally. I'm like, I have to go in. I can't help it. That's kind of the point of the open world, to have choice in how you actually play. All right, it's that time again. It's time to go over your top comments. And also, I wanted to mention a very special thank you again to my YouTube members. It's that join button below the video. Totally optional, but you do get cool emotes and stuff like that. So we had some interesting things from YouTube members. And of course, a very special thank you to my Patreon members. Do not worry, more videos are going to be coming your way on Patreon as well, ad-free. So what did Gradavis have to say? Let's check it out. He goes on to say this: just gonna casually sneak my way to level 100 in hardcore and claim my spot. I feel like my odds are good. We'll be running around with my controversial Ashafa's trophy, which I believe will keep me safe. Nothing will keep you safe in Sanctuary. Yeah, you're going straight for hardcore mode. That takes some guts right there. I think I will venture into hardcore mode, give it a shot, maybe, just maybe. But the biggest fear is running into the Butcher. I'm going to try to take him down solo in my current softcore game and see if I could actually pull that off. But yes, let's get into your responses about my most recent video, which was this one right here. Scroll down, the 6th class. Blizzard opens up, new dev updates, crucial tips, expansion news, and more. Yes. So it looks like at minimum, we're getting 2 expansions. That's exciting. But also, when it comes to, of course, Blizzard opening up about that 6th class, it seems like they're interested in doing a whole new class. Yes, they might do nostalgia-based stuff based on like classes from Diablo 3, especially Diablo 2. But yeah, I'm more excited for something new, and so is Blizzard. So it seems like that's the direction they really, really want to head in. So let's see what you guys said. So Multi-Gun says the following. Let me scroll down. A holy class of some sort is definitely missing, along with the class that really utilizes shields. Whether they make a new class or bring back an old one, I don't really care. I just think that's an obvious area to target in terms of adding classes in the more immediate future. Yes, 100% agree. Paladin is always on my mind. If they could just introduce that, I would be so happy. Now, we don't know when they're going to open up and talk about classes. Hopefully they do a dev update stream, because they're really good at doing those as like a, after launch talk with the community, what's going to be happening next with updates, balance changes, and where we're going from here. Now, Rude says this right here. I mean, a cleric would be pretty cool. You can have cosmetics similar to like Crusader and Paladin with more robe type options. Many iterations of clerics have options for spell castings and melee capabilities, and you could bring in some options for group healing and support buffs as well. Yeah, I remember like probably a couple of weeks ago, there were some complaints about where's the like healing class in this game that is just all about healing. Well, this is not an MMO. They are very clear about it. They have some hybrid MMO moments in this game, but they want every class to be more about like DPS. Can you armor up yourself? Can you take care of yourself? But also there are certain like buffs that you can actually give out to your party members, like in the world boss instances. So it is possible to have like some sort of team play here still. All right, so let's see what James Earl Cash says. I'd love to see some sort of summon, skellies, wolves, etc., and forms, werewolf, werebear, cosmetic options too at some point. Example, more exotic looking skeletons, different colors of werebears or werebeast, etc. Yes, this is something that Blizzard has commented on previously, and it seems like they are interested in providing the community with that down the road, perhaps through seasons and the battle pass. We'll have to see how they actually do that, of course. I'm still worried about the store, to be honest with you. I've seen the prices, but so far, I've been able to actually, ignore the store, although there's one, like, piece of gear. I'm like, don't do it, Robbie. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more Diablo 4 news and updates. I have you guys covered, and of course, open world gaming goodness. And I will see you all next time. Take care.